Namaste and Jai Hind. Welcome to yet another very, very engaging conversation, ladies and gentlemen, with someone who's not just a Kargil war veteran, he's the former ADG for NCC. He's someone who's very actively and advocated the involvement of youth, youngsters in national service. He's the former Chief of Staff of Dakshin Bharat and currently in the thick of all the recovery and help in Wayanad. He's just air dashed to have this conversation and he's going to go back again. Major General Indrabalan, Namaste, Jai Hind, and thank you very much.
Jai Hind.
First up, I want to start with the fact that there is just one badge there and I can read Operation Vijay on your sleeve.
Yeah, so usually, we veterans would wear our medals.
Your decorations.
My decorations, etc. But this is a more informal conversation that's meant actually for a Republic Day event or a president's presence, etc. So in an informal event, I thought I'll wear what is very close to my heart. This is the badge which we had created, a lapel pin kind of a thing. The brigade created immediately after the war. So I'm preserving it since then.
It's that and it's 25 years since
It's 25 years, so I thought that's the right thing to wear for me to celebrate the victory and also remember the martyrs.
Since you were ADNG, NCC, Bihar and Jharkhand, and that's the reason why I want to understand the impact and this whole conversation around Agnipath and Agniveer. Can you dispel some of the doubts and also some of the concerns? And a lot of it is also coming on ground from within the forces. So what's your first take on Agnipath and Agniveer in its current construct?
So if you ask me in one line, I would say it's worth a try. It's worth a try because unless you try out something, you will never know where it goes. Now coming to, as you said, address the concerns and etc. I'll give you my perspective. There are huge number of perspectives. And I can give a credible perspective because as Chief of Staff Dakshin Bharat area, I've dealt first hand. There were 6 centers with us who were training Agniveers, and I was one-to-one in touch with the training happening. So I can share that perspective as well. So to understand Agniveer, Anand, we have to break it into 4 stages.
Okay.
To just say this is Agniveer and this is what happening is not worth it. So let's go through each stage. Stage 1 is the selection process. Stage 2 is the training, once he's recruited in. Stage 3 is the employment in the army. And stage 4 is post-employment. So there are 4 clear stages. And we have to analyze each stage step by step. So this is stages. Secondly, who are the stakeholders? We got to see it from all stakeholders' point of view. The stakeholder is the Agniveer himself, then his family, then the military, then the government, the society, and the nation, and now also the public sector and those prospective companies and organizations which are going to employ them. They are also going to be future stakeholders.
Correct.
So you have to see it from all stakeholders' point of view. So we can, chat on each perspective. So let's first go through the Agniveer itself without talking of stakeholders. Part 1. The previous way of selecting people used to be physical test first, written later. So you would have seen whenever a recruitment rally was announced, there used to be mad rush there. Police trying to control the crowd and tens and thousands of youth coming, out of which only 500 are supposed to be selected. The entire process was just making guys run to start with. And you run a 400-meter track, usually 6 people run on a track. Here you have 200 people running on the same track, running over each other, and it's more of a boxing match trying to beat the other guy and come within the time than actually a physical fitness race. And once you do that, and supposing you come within that given time, then you're put to the other tests. If you pass all this, then you're put through written, then the medical. Okay. So here what is happening? You are giving priority to brute force. If you have the brute force, then we'll see whether you have some brains or not.
Correct.
In a modern world, an army which has to fight the modern war, is that the right way to select? I don't need to answer this question. What does Agnipath do? It reverses the whole system. You're first putting people through a written examination. That also all India. So you come into an all India merit. That means you have now amongst the people who are the top lot. And people who are smarter have a chance to get inside, not because they are not physically so well off, they are not brutal, but because they are smarter and they have done their academics well. So the top people are now selected. Not that the top exact all are taken. We have something called as a recruitable male population, and also the various concept of class composition.
Yeah.
Accordingly, merit lists are made on the top. Then they are now asked to come to do the running race. So now the recruitment centers are much better of handling them because the numbers who land up, they are manageable. Now they're able to proper test. So when people are running, they're actually running a 400-meter race. So you know the timing, how good this guy is. All of the tests are done properly.
So they still have to qualify with
Still,
that timing.
yes, and at the same timing. So you see, medical is common. So now you see what you have done. You've got smarter soldiers coming in, as fit as that, and they are now ready to get prepared for all sorts of modern warfare that India will have to enter into. So that way, the selection process itself makes this entire Agnipath scheme a better scheme. Now, this process could have been done even without Agnipath scheme, if you ask.
Correct.
It could have been done the normal process as well. But because Agnipath came, somebody thought of this and we came in.
Okay.
Others maybe would have just carried on the whole process
Right.
for long.
Yeah.
Now come to the training part. I'll give you my assessment of training. The training is supposed to be X number of weeks, 36 weeks, etc., distributed into various, recruit training and professional training, ABCD. The inputs I have, which is what is known to the thing, that the quality of people who have come to train, to start with, the trainable material itself is superior compared to, but it's natural.
Correct, because you're starting a few rungs up.
You're starting from ground, so obviously, but now when they're training, obviously the training outcomes are superior.
Yeah.
Because a soldier today, your training outcome are not only being looked at by how many push-ups you're able to do or how much fast you're able to run. The soldier has to also show his performance in ability to learn his weapons, understanding the weapon systems, all that is done even in the basic training.
Yeah.
So even his training standards have been proven to be superior. The same numbers are being trained as compared to the previous lot.
Right.
So again, we've got a better material here. Again, this is a process of selection. It has not to do with actually Agnipath or Agniveer, but because of Agnipath or Agniveer, this is happening. So two things we are clear. There is, it goes without doubt saying that this is a great process. Third step, coming to the employment in unit. This is where a little challenge is, and this is where we need to study the whole scheme. Now when they are in the unit, they are of course young, they are smarter definitely, they are raring to go, and some of them are smarter than their superiors.
Superiors.
It is natural.
Yeah.
So there is going to be some sort of,
Friction.
I won't say friction, but professional differences. Because earlier the guy who came, he was obviously not superior to the superior guy. This guy is smarter, better educated, people with BSc, all coming in. The guy who's already inside is not so smarter. So that is going to be a challenge on leadership skills, at junior leadership. How this now Havaldar, JCO, NCO manages lot who's smarter than him.
Correct.
That's something that the learning process will teach
Yeah.
them. The second thing I see is that this, out of this 4 years, X amount of time is already gone, 36 weeks. The balance time is what they're spending there. In this short time, if there's a war, the question in your mind,
Yeah.
everybody's mind is, are they ready now to be deployed in war straight away? Because war is not only about technology and physical fitness, it's a lot to do with morale and motivation.
Morale, motivation, team.
Regimentation, teamwork,
yeah.
group dynamics, so many
Yeah.
things are there. And in the Indian Army specifically, as compared to other armies, regimentation for many, many years has been a very strong
Yeah,
factor.
Naam Namak Nishan is something which
That's
is
it.
sacrosanct. Yeah.
For them, it's sacrosanct. How much of that Naam Namak Nishan gets embodied in him is a question that we will have to answer in due course. The inputs I have from people who are there is that they are catching up. They are showing similar interest. But showing interest is not same as absorbing it.
Yeah. Internalizing it.
Internalizing it. That's right what I would say, yeah. Internalizing it. So that we have to wait because it's too early to judge. There are positive signs, there are not so positive signs. And I think the current leadership will be better able to answer that and how it is shaping up. And we have to wait and watch. Speaking to it will be conjecturing. So I don't want to conjecture on that.
Correct.
But I'm hopeful that things will not be that bad. There is a good possibility that it will be a shade lower than the original process, but natural.
Yeah.
But the overall process may not be all that badly off the mark. So that is that part. So we'll wait for the real outcomes to
Yeah.
happen.
If I may interrupt,
Please.
one of the queries here on the regimentation aspect is that after 4 years, once the shafting happens, that 75% are let go of, 25% are retained. That's when they are assigned to their regiments. So then there is this aspect of re-regimentation. And many are worried about that because once you're part of a regiment, you're part of that regiment. So when this re-regimentation happens, again, this leadership, loyalty, again, this whole process of Naam Namak Nishan, how is that going to get affected? This is one of the concerns.
Yeah, I agree with you. So this re-regimentation is not something new. You know, when the technical arms and services officers level, when they join the army, they're all initially sent to infantry. They serve there for 2 years, and then and they become embedded. Some of them swear by it. And this gentleman who spends 2 years with the infantry unit, he owns it as his unit, and the reverse is also true.
Correct.
He becomes part of that regiment. So that embedded thing happens. Then he moves on to the services or combat arms, and he serves all his life there. So he adopts the new regiment because he has internalized the concept of regimentation, not the regiment itself.
Regimentation. Okay.
You see? So having done that, wherever he finds that bonding and unity, he latches on and moves on. If he doesn't find that, he will not internalize.
Yeah.
So in the recruitment process itself, the concept of regimentation has been put into him. Now it is for the new team to accept him and make him accept you.
Accept you.
That is where a leadership matters. You see now, the challenge is that after 4 years, only 25% people are going to be absorbed.
Correct.
What does this lead to? This leads to something called as possibly crossing the threshold of healthy competition. Competition is good in life, whether it's private sector, army, everywhere. Why?
Yeah.
Because competition brings in that necessity to do better,
Yeah.
some bit of insecurity, and you want to perform better. So if there is no competition, there is a monopoly, you'll not do. You
Correct. Correct.
So the competition is always good. ACR systems, all is good. Now for them also we have an ACR kind of system assessment. And now imagine only 25% being selected. You know various selection process. Indian Army selection process is very pedagogical.
Yeah.
It's also highly competitive, and that's why you find there's a lot of people coming to the courts and fighting ABCD etc. because of all this. It's okay at officer level because you have the maturity, the understanding, and it moves on from that. Imagine at this level, now this boy knows यार 4 साल बाद मैंने अंदर घुसना, मेरी माँ मेरे को अंदर घर में नहीं आने देगी. बोलेंगे बेटा तू किधर को तो भेजा था फौज में आने के लिए, तू वापस आ गया. अब and he knows he goes back, his people also going to say तू तो भेज रहा, you've been left out. Also now the JSU and the NCO who are not so far writing their CRs, now they are also going to be influencing whether he will, after what happens to them. Now they are junior leaders. They have not got that kind of maturity as we officers. We are trained to write ACRs, to look at it in a more, but there are, even at officer level, there is human angle.
Correct.
You may try to be as objective as possible, but human angle does come in, whether you like it or not. Now that's at officer level.
Correct.
Imagine at that level, if that human angle comes in and there is exploitation of this unhealthy, competitive spirit in this youngster, it can lead to serious problems within the organization.
So how does that get addressed?
I have no idea. This is my concern. I may be entirely wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. I really want to be sure that I'm wrong. But if this is not wrong, and if the leadership is, I'm sure they would be concerned with this. If they address it properly, it can be addressed, not that it cannot be addressed. How to address this, I think it's a learning process. Time will tell, but this, I think, needs to be addressed.
Then what do these 75% then do when they come out?
Yeah.
And where do they find employability? Because they are trained soldiers, they're armed, and they can swing either ways.
Yes.
They can become guns for hire also.
Yes.
And there are cases that have come where some of them have turned gangsters or have had to be arrested or neutralized because of that. So you will always have some bad eggs, but rotten eggs. But that's another case. What happens to these, and where do they go? And the other concern, General Saab, is that the army's job was there right at the top. It's the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Now, will this now get lower preference because CRPF, police, para, otherwise seems to be far more stable than Agniveer?
At the end of 4 years, we know that, as you rightly said,
Yeah.
he's on the cutting edge. He's not only on the cutting edge of capability, he's also on the cutting edge of skill.
Yeah.
Because what the army is going to put them through, each one of them is on skilling on certain aspect. If he's learned how to fire a weapon, he's learning about the weapon system, and he's a much smarter soldier. So he's not only learning todna jodna, he's also learning how the damn thing works.
Banana or chalana.
Yes, banana chalana. Plus he probably goes a little bit more because he's a science graduate now. So when he comes out, his employability after 4 years much higher than someone who's coming out at 35.
35.
Point number one.
Huh.
Point number two, his learning curve is much superior.
Correct.
He's at the beginning of his learning curve. He's got so much to go. So a private sector would be far more happy to pick him up, put him through 6 months and say, yeah, here it is. Three, he doesn't have to be employed at supervisory level.
Correct.
He can be employed at the lowest level of starting in, let's say, in an assembly line.
And still grow
wherever.
up.
And within no time, I can tell you, this guy will overtake people and go up. Because he has that mentality, he has that fighting spirit, he knows how to compete, he's a great competitor, and he has got everything going
The
for
skill.
him. The skill. And he's open-minded. His children are not calling him. His mother is saying, Bada, go ahead. He can be anywhere in the country. So his employability factor is going to be so high. I mean, now I'm in private sector, by the way. Huh?
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of R&D work and developing technology.
Yeah, engaging with
We
military.
are looking
titans,
for
not
people
that,
like
yeah.
him.
Okay.
I'll be so happy that when I start my assembly line of the products we are creating, I would be so happy to get an Agniveer into my system because I know I need to only tell him how to do the assembly line. I have to teach him nothing else.
Because बाकी regimentation,
सब हो चुका
discipline
है उसको,
सब हो चुका
लॉयल्टी,
है.
रेजिमेंटेशन, फिटनेस, टाइमिंग, वो वहाँ नहीं बोलेगा कि सर मैं 8 घंटे काम करूंगा. दूसरा बंदा तो बोलता है 8 घंटे का 7 घंटे काम करे, बोलता है 8 घंटा हो गया मेरा. ये तो बोलेगा सर मैं तो 9 घंटे यहाँ पे हूँ, 10 घंटे हूँ यहाँ पे, बिकॉज ही इज रेडी टू टेक इट
Work
अप.
hard.